Welcome to Life's a Coach. Our mission is to empower individuals like you to take charge of your life, discover your purpose, and elevate your performance to new heights. Each week, we'll be diving into engaging discussions, introducing you to valuable tools from the coaching world, and giving you different perspectives on individual development. Whether you're seeking clarity, motivation, or a fresh perspective, we've got you covered. Again, welcome to Life's a Coach, where the power to transform your life begins now.
Welcome back to Life's a Coach, guys. My name's Eric Claremont, and today we've got life coaches Avril and Sofia in the house. How's it going, guys?
Oh,
Fantastic.
good.
Fantastic. Okay. So today is February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. So we're going to be having a special episode on Valentine's Day. We're going to be discussing everything around romantic love, but also the many faces of love. So we're going to be talking about self-love, friendship, familial love, community love. And we're also going to go into the topic of Valentine's Day and if there's too much pressure in Valentine's Day, right? So I guess my first question for all of you guys is, how are you spending your Valentine's Day, guys? Tell me, Avril, what are you doing?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Well, I have this already good plan. So I'm going to have dinner with two of my best friends because the three of us are single and we decided that we would not spend like the pressure of this
Can I
romantic
come?
things. Of
Can I come?
course, you catch a flight
I'll
and you
catch a
come
flight
to
right now.
Portugal.
I'll get there in time. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was interesting now that I just want to share a very short story about this. We thought about going to a restaurant, and it's funny because it's called Romeo and Juliet here in Portugal.
Nice.
But so long story short, they said, "Oh, it's a romantic day. It's the third person, your kids." When they asked us about the reservation, and I was like, "No, in fact, we are three friends." And they stopped answering me immediately. So it was quite fun for us to also understand how this is impacting some of the dynamics in restaurants and the perception of people, because we have all kinds of love, and we are going to talk about this today. And even, how do you say it in English? But it could be a three-persons couple. You never know in this current
Sure.
stage that we are in society.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, answering directly to your question only, Eric, it is what I'm going to do.
Love that idea, though. Avril.
Yeah. For me, I don't know yet. I mean, it's one of those things where, as you know, I'm still new in this. Moved to Georgia a few months back. Don't as many have physical people friends I could hang out with this time. And not being in a relationship is one of those I've decided it's going to be more of a self-care, self-love kind of Valentine's Day. So I know I already got yesterday when I went and got my kid her Valentine stuff. She's going out of town with her mom today, but I got myself something too. I was like, okay, this is my little box of chocolates for Valentine that I'm gonna treat myself, and I'm still making plans for the rest of the day. I'm gonna work for a couple of hours, and after that, I'm just gonna take it slow and see how I can love on myself the rest of the day.
Love that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yourself?
for me, well, I told you guys about what happened yesterday. So, well, I was seeing someone and
Mm-hmm.
we weren't quite seeing eye to eye. So I was planning maybe on seeing them today, but that's not going to happen. Um,
Mm.
but I was going to go to salsa with them. So I'm still going to give that self-love to me and go to
Nice.
salsa and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of have a blast there. So yeah, I mean, nothing extra special, do you know what I mean? And I think that kind of goes into like, I guess the first topic, which is kind of the different forms of love, because I think, when you think of Valentine's Day, you think immediately about, relationships and romantic love. But as you said, Avril, right? The type of love where you're giving it back to your daughter, right? And Sofia, like with you and your friends, you know what I mean? Like, I guess, how can we reframe that, the fact of, what Valentine's Day is, right? To be like less of a romantic day and more of like a just overall love. Like it's a chance to show anyone that you care about, anyone that you love.
Where we frame the love in all its forms for this episode, because I think love is so much more than a romantic relationship, right? We have our friends' loves, as I'm going to spend the night with my friends, or even our parents. When I lived back in my grandmother's house, so my grandfather passed a long time ago. My grandmother was 30 years old, so she was very young and she never got back in a relationship again. So I used to leave her like a chocolate or something when I still live with her on Valentine's Day. And it was my grandmother, so it was also a moment for me to show love for her. Um, and I think that we have this kind of, as you were saying, Eric, society thing that it's all about the relationship or the intimate relationship I'm in. But I've always lived it as like all the relations. The first message of my day today was from my sister, like happy Valentine's Days. And I think some people create like this resistance, or I would call it even like range or hate about Valentine's Day, but it's more about how do you see it? It's your perspective that can win the day for sure.
Get that. And it's interesting, but yes, I remember as a time growing up where my understanding of Valentine's Day was something that was more for romantic, day that you show extra love or show affection or gestures in romantic relationships. But over the years, it has evolved. Like it's not just about the romantic relationship. It's now a day that you show and express love to those that are around you that you love and care for. So like even yesterday, it was quite interesting when I went into the shop. Was buying a card for my daughter, and it was like you could actually see these are all Valentine's card, but you have one for your mom, one for your grandma, one for your dad, one for your daughter, one for your
That's so
sons. Like,
nice.
you know what I'm saying? So like it's now a day of expressing love to different people that is not just about the romantic, side of things. And one thing that I'm big on, in the past few years since my journey of self-care and self-love uh, uh, is saying, okay, even though I'm expressing love outwards, then in on such a day like this, I get to also find something somewhere, somehow to also express love to me. Like I was sharing with you guys that yesterday when I went to get these some gifts and some chocolates for my kid, at the moment I'm like, wait, what about my inner kid? What about me? How am I gonna? I'm not dating anybody. Not that I'm expecting presents from people, but I'm like, okay, I get to get myself something too. Then I won't touch this box of chocolate until tomorrow, Valentine's Day, and I'm like, happy Valentine's, Avril. Then I'll open it and have one. So that's where I'm at with that. Your
So
thoughts? Mm.
yeah, no, I love that. I think, yeah, I've had a bit of an evolution in the way I think about it because I was very much the kind of grand gesture, um, you know, grand, kind of doing everything right, like the big scavenger hunts or like very expensive gifts or like taking trips to go and see people, like those big things. And I felt that I really bought into that, Hollywood romance kind of love story. And I think that there's a reason for that, right? Because I think that is how the business of Valentine's Day has kind of developed, right? Where we a lot of young people are taught that that is what love is, right? When perhaps you get to experience and decide, right, what love means to you, um, then I think it just expands, right? Love is a feeling, right? It's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? You can have it in all relationships, even within yourself, right? So I think if you have that mentality that wherever you are, you are love, we are all love, right? Then you can truly have that uh, love in abundance, right? And what I think what you put out, you obviously will get back. So as you said, I think yeah, just like I'm still kind of getting used to that because there's still a big part of me, right, who like, you know, with those maybe romantic, kind of more intimate relationships that I have had, I still feel like there's a part of me that still like feels like they need to show that they love someone on Valentine's Day, right? And I feel that there's always that pressure. Um, but then it's like, okay, you're gonna just show someone on one day, right? Kind of how much you love them. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really just, um, you know, maybe, you know, that's not what love is, right? Love is all the time. Do you know what I mean? Love is really, I think, shown more in times of struggle and difficulty, right? When the going gets tough, rather than like this grand gesture day, So I agree with you.
I got a question for you, Eric.
Oh,
Since you are a grand gesture type of person, right? And I know we're gonna touch on love languages in another episode, but on a day like Valentine's Day, would you appreciate someone doing a grand gesture for you? Is that something you'd have appreciate
yeah.
you
I
appreciate?
think it's a great question. As you said, we're gonna cover a lot of it within that future episode. You know, I always felt that the reason why we have our love languages and why they're the ones that we have are based on how we grow up and how love is kind of shown to us, if that makes sense. And in my household, it was a little bit of quality time, obviously, but with like both my like all my family is like they're like gift givers. They're like very much like for Christmas when we went there with my son. Like my son literally got spoiled. There's like 20 different little mini kind of things. Like whenever you go on vacation in my family's culture in Mauritius, you bring gifts for everyone, right? So even when I go sometimes now, I'm trying to like do the same thing. So I feel as if that's kind of been imprinted in my brain. So that being said, I don't know if I've ever within a romantic relationship, I've got gifts and stuff, but the whole grand gesture thing, I don't know if I've ever really had
Because
that. You know what I mean?
because the reason I was asking is that, well, knowing you being a grand gesture person, and since this Valentine you're not in a relationship, what grand gesture could you do for yourself?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. Yeah, no, it's a good one.
Just a food
Yeah.
for thought.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. No,
Uh-huh.
I like that. I like where you went with that for sure. Um,
Mhm.
well, I did do something a little bit earlier, as you know. Obviously, Jay's on tour, so
Mhm.
like I know, like Sophia just got her Kendrick tickets, brat brat.
Mhm.
Um, but like I got myself like tickets to go and see that. Do you know what I mean? So I guess that might.
Yeah, but that wasn't for Valentine's Day.
Uh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not. I don't know. That's something I need to think about for sure.
All right.
I'm like
Cool.
very like yeah, like with money and stuff like that. Like I've always been like that. It's like spending money on myself. I've always had like a big kind of problem with that. Do you know what I mean? I guess that's the
And it
future.
could, but it can go beyond gifts, right? It can go to some other thing that, and this even for our listeners, like there's this culture of gifts that Valentine's has grown to, but there are so many other ways of showing love for yourself or showing love for another person apart from the gifts. Um, and I would like to hear from you guys, but as I've been growing on this self-development journey, sometimes it's much more about the little things than about the grand gestures and the big things I'm giving to others.
I agree. I don't want to forget the a big type of love that we haven't covered, which is community love, like the life's a coach love that we kind of have. I feel that like that was that's a big part of um, you know that feeling of support and feeling understood and finding your tribe. I feel that that type of love is often not considered as much, right? So it's kind of friendship, but more like, again, like larger than that, right? It's like your support system. So it's everyone together. It's like your family, your friends. So I feel that that is super important. Do you know what I mean, for everyone as well? To kind of think about. Like when we talk about kind of like Valentine's Day, do you guys think that perhaps it's like, what do you think about the whole, you know, gift giving, grand gestures, and like, has it been over, you know, kind of over commercialized, over dramatized, overrated, right? Or do you think that like this day, you know, it should be a day of like really showing your, you know, your other half or those people you love that you do love them.
I think that, funny enough, I feel like some years back, right? That question was posed. I don't remember how long ago it was. It's been a while when people are like, we are over commercializing this and so on. I feel like, yes, there was a point where it seemed like, oh, now this thing is become very commercialized. And then because it had become commercialized, it became the culture, you know. So at this stage, for me, it now seems normal. That's what everybody does, you know. But those there's still people sitting. I can also sit here and go, it's funny. I'm saying it's now normalized that it doesn't seem like it's over
Yeah,
emphasized.
I see where. Yeah, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But I remember 20 years ago when I was like, when people, it was actually on the news and people talking about, my God, everybody's talking like we've over commercialized this. Everything's like this. But with most holidays and most things like that, they have become the culture. Like I remember when there's certain holidays when I used to live in England, we never used to celebrate some of these American holidays, but they're now big in the UK too, like Halloween and things like that. Like, and when things like that moved across the world, they become more commercialized, they become the norm that, yeah, I'm sure there's certain seats we can sit and go, yeah, it's over commercialized. But at the same time, it's become so normalized that that's what everybody, like my kid is growing up in that culture. It's now the
Yeah.
culture. That's the way I say it. It's now the culture. You know, I don't think she would ever know a Valentine's that's not as, it's only in our perception that we think it's over commercialized, but in their perception as they're growing up in this world, that's the norm for them. That's the way I kind of see it.
Yeah, I think that there's also this, where is it coming from that it's being forgotten? Because if I remember correctly, it was all about the changing of the cards, like the message, like the postal card, as you said, that you
Yeah, yeah,
got one
yeah.
for your daughter, Avril. And
Hmm.
it would be interesting to see how many cards are being changed currently,
Yeah.
instead of like chocolate giving, presents buying, big things like gestures, or even going out to dinner if the the people change the card itself. So I think it's also a little bit of going back to the history where this started. Same with other holidays, as you were mentioning, April. But um, but yeah, one thing was coming to my mind while you were speaking, April, because of kids. Like, yes, they are growing in this kind of society of seeing things like that. But what can we do in our side to do things differently?
Different how what do you mean?
Like, for example,
Mm.
will we be the ones like, okay, the kids are seeing all this out there, but will we be the ones saying, okay, but this started as like a card gifting? Who are you going to give the card for? Like, for example, I think that everything that is happening in society, and that we normalize it and say, yeah, the kids are growing like this, we have also a way of
Sure.
changing it and reframing it in a different way.
For sure. For sure. I
Agree.
like, yeah, because it's like I had this picture in my head of like, okay, celebrities, you can even see, talk about grand gestures, all right? On Valentine's Day, he buys this girl a big ass car and puts a bow on it, right? And then there's a card next to it, right? Like, is he or she gonna take time to read the card and really be in the emotions of what you wrote in the card, or they're into the present? And though that's like an exaggerated picture, but I can totally see how over the years with my kid, like this morning, I went to a place before she went to school and gave her the card that I got her and the present I got her. And her mom had already got her some flowers and some stuff as well that she had for. And I was like thinking, as we're on talking now, I was thinking, wow, I can totally see how my kid is so used to the presents that even the card and the message that's in the card may not have as much, you know, she may not have as much notice for that, right? So it's now up to us to go, hey, also read the card, because what I wrote in the card is also how I feel and what this is about, kind of thing. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So I'll say it's up to us, the parents, to pass down the essence of what some of these days are about.
And a challenge for our listeners: write a card to yourself today. Whether you're on a
Ooh.
relationship, whether you're single, whether in whatever situation you are, write a card, write a Valentine's card for yourself.
Ooh,
Like
I like
Eric,
that.
offline, you mentioned something about today that you were happy that we were going to be together. And this is love, I would say. It's
Yeah.
in a different form, for sure. It's about being with people that understand you, as you were saying, Eric, the power of the community that understands you, that really cares about you, that expresses it, makes you feel safe.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I love that idea of writing, a letter to yourself. I think because then, like, only we know deep down, right, how we want to be loved and how we
Oh, I
deserve to
love
be
that,
loved.
Eric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, really. But we're always trying to, well, I'll talk for myself, but we're always trying to get it from other places. At least I have. I've always tried to be validated and, yeah, accepted from other people. Like we get our self-worth, our self-love based on how, again, I'm talking very individually, but I have very much so based a lot of my self-worth on other people's value of, you know, what they think I am, right? Um, and shifting that a little bit, I think that could be a very powerful, um, project to do, right? Is to like really like sitting down and you know tell just kind of like how you would in a relationship. Like, what do you love about yourself, right? What special little things do you really cherish? Like, what are you proud of about you? What do you like? Um, like even like for the future, like what are you hopeful for the future with you and you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do this now. We'll kind
Yeah.
of
I
I
gotta
just see
measure.
like,
I'm writing it
onto
down just to
it.
don't forget
Yeah.
the questions. I love this.
Listeners, we're gonna
I'm gonna
be
do that today too.
posting.
Like,
Yeah, we're gonna be posting. We'll post something today for our listeners so that they can like kind of do something. But I love, 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 love this idea for
hmm
sure. So kind of like just closing off with regards to like self love. So
hmm
I think we've kind of all gone there, and look, there's the loneliness factor, right? Where there's a feeling of loneliness when all of this is going on, and perhaps there may be some people who are single and all of their friends are kind of in relationships and stuff like that. So I guess you know how can we, or what are some other forms, kind of, and Sophia, you've really introduced us to one, but how can we practice that self-love and really learn to love ourselves? And I'll add to that, Sophia, is yeah, like I may just like go and have a 5-star meal by myself. Do you know what I mean?
Take
Um,
pictures
and no, definitely not
and share it
pictures.
with
Yeah,
us.
yeah, exactly. But like, I think that's another way, right? That, like, again, just spending time with yourself, doing things that you love and enjoy. Like, I may go salsa today. Like, I'll be around other people, but I'm gonna be by myself, right? So I'm gonna give that to me. Avril,
And
anything else? Oh, sorry, go on. Sophia?
Sophia,
Thank
the
okay,
last words.
just one thought that's coming to my mind is like, this is you showing to the universe
Mhm.
also what you want to receive, Eric. So I really think that this is a positive message for everybody. It's more about what kind of love do you want to receive than spending it like in a very non-lovable way for yourself.
I I I I I feel like this episode today has been, in a way, about three single people who are not in relationships talking about Valentine. So I kind of feel like there's a group of people that are not represented today. People who are actually in a relationship.
Absolutely.
No, but Avril,
So,
I might disagree because even
yeah.
in a relationship, this kind of love is also
Mhm.
important.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. But I
Yeah.
mean, if someone was one of the coaches, like when we had all six coaches on that last time, if one of the coaches like, oh, I'm doing this for my partner, we're going out, we're doing date night, we're doing this, that feel also
Yeah.
needs to be
Respect.
to
So
be
let's
to be
move on.
Yeah,
that
let's call her.
that feel
Once
needs to be
again.
represented too. Like, are we going on a
But
date night? We're doing this and
yes,
that. You
definitely.
know. Uh-huh.
Love
All
that.
right.
All right,
We
guys.
are.
Well, drop in the comments how you guys are spending your Valentine's Day. Let us know if you get the chance to write yourself a Valentine's Day card. Um, Other than that, thanks so much, Avril, Sophia, for a little short episode on Valentine's Day. Have
Happy
It was
a
Valentine's.
amazing.
have a
Thank you.
love-filled
Happy
day.
Valentine's.
Is that thing gonna come up?
Palmer
Like,
is
okay,
go.
well,
Palmer.
let's
No.
go, let's go,
April
let's
is
go.
going.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah. There you go.
All right, bye,
Right, guys.
guys.
See
Take it
you
easy,
next
guys. Bye.
time.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Life's a Coach, where our conversations aim to empower and support your personal growth. Until next time, remember that personal development is ongoing, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living a life that aligns with your true purpose. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life's a Coach.